31, 1.
One. Yes.
Sure, thank you. Let us start. We are discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, Lord Kapil's instructions on the movements of the living entities. Text 1.
Wow.
श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्रीभगवानुवाच
कर्मणादैव नेत्रेण जन्तुर्देहोपपातये स्त्रिया प्रविष्ट उदरम् पुंसोरेतकनाश्रया कर्मणा दैव नेत्रेण जन्तुर्देहोपपातये स्त्रियो प्रविष्ट उदरम् सोरेतकनाश्रया श्रीभगवानुवाच कर्मणा दैव नेत्रेण जन्तुर्देहोपपातये श्रिया प्रविष्ट उदरम् पुंसोरेतकनाश्रया Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead said, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord, and according to the result of his work, the living entity, the soul, is made to enter into the womb of a woman through the particle of male semen to assume a particular type of body. As stated in the last chapter, after suffering different kinds of hellish conditions, a man comes again to the human form of body. The same topic is continued in this chapter. In order to give a particular type of human form to a person who has already suffered hellish life, the soul is transferred to the semen of a man who is just suitable to become his father. During sexual intercourse, the soul is transferred through the semen of the father into the mother's womb in order to produce a particular type of body. This process is applicable to all the embodied living entities, but it is specially mentioned for a man who was transferred to, so it is specially mentioned for the man who was transferred to the Andha Tamishra hell. After suffering there, when he, who has had many types of hellish bodies, like those of dogs and hogs, is to come again to the human form, he is given the chance to take his birth in the same type of body from which he degraded himself to hell. Everything is done by the supervision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Material nature supplies the body, but it does so under the direction of the Supersoul. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita that a living entity is wandering in this material world on a chariot made by the material nature. The Supreme Lord, a super soul, is always present with the individual soul. He directs the material nature to supply a particular type of body to the individual soul according to the result of his work, and the material nature supplies it. Here, one word, retaha kanashrayaha, is very significant because it indicates that it is not the semen of the man that creates life within the womb of a woman. Rather, the living entity, the soul, takes shelter in a particle of semen and is then pushed into the womb of a mother, a woman. Then the body develops. There is no possibility of creating a living entity without the presence of the soul, simply by sexual intercourse. The mechanistic theory, a materialistic theory that there is no soul and that a child is born simply by material combination of the sperm and ovum is not very feasible. It is unacceptable. The personality of God itself, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord, and according to the result of his work, the living entity, the soul, is made to enter into the womb of a woman through the particle of male semen to assume a particular type of body. Hare Krishna. The reality of the universe, the reality of life, and the reality of our own existential position in this universe can be quite frightening. Only in illusion, the living entity can think himself or herself to be very comfortable or peaceful. But the reality is horrifying. How many spirit souls exist? The multitude of number itself is horrifying. What is the process by which The spirit souls, the mechanism of the process by which the spirit souls are awarded different bodies. So we can just try to understand that there are multitude of souls, so many, there are countless number of souls everywhere. And the Atma is Sarvagataha. That means the spirit soul is everywhere. First of all, the Sankhya counting of the number of species itself is huge and overwhelming. 'When we say 8 million, 84 lakh species, 8.4 million species. So that itself is so huge. But these are the souls who have got bodies. So what we see around in the world are souls basically who have got bodies. There is much more magnitude of souls who have not got bodies, who are yet to get bodies. And all these souls are waiting. That is explained. All these souls are waiting everywhere in this world. And wherever there is a favorable atmosphere, a body is created and a soul is asked to take charge of that body. All these souls are waiting desperately to get the body. One of one of the principles or one of the theories which which devotees speak about is, see, one of the theories is how many souls are there in our body, human body. So it is explained that there are numerous souls even in our body, because it is explained that every cell has a soul. Otherwise, the cell cannot function. There are millions and trillions of cells in our own body. This is our own intrinsic body. And then there are viruses and there are bacteria and then there are worms and you know, these kind of creatures also occupy seats in the body. Uh, so that is separate. Every cell has a soul, but all these souls are in a very low level of consciousness. All these souls are in a low level of consciousness. Their consciousness is almost in the state of sushupti. Therefore, consciousness very low. Ah. So now if we try to understand out of billions and trillions of souls, material nature, under the direction of Supreme Lord, has given me a human body. So we try to put ourselves or position ourselves at that time when we had been waiting in a line to get a human body or to get any body for that matter. How much horrifying and anxiety driving and depressing that atmosphere is. Out of trillions of living entities, one will get a human body. Can you imagine? So if we, so that is the point. That's why we can understand that only in illusion a living entity can think of becoming proud or puffed up. In the actual reality of material existence, we are so insignificant. And there are millions of human beings. So we are so insignificant. So just imagine there are millions and trillions and billions of living beings. Everywhere there is competition. Everywhere there is ah, race. So it seems to be so fierce. But the question is, how do things work out then? So if it is so fierce, if it is so frightening, how do things work out? Ah, because if we go into analysis of probabilities, uh, so all our probability calculations will give us figures which will be very very depressing. So how do things work out? And now that is what the Bhagavatam and the Acharyas are revealing, that things only work out for us, for our good, because the Supreme Lord Krishna wants to give the best to every living entity. Because Krishna wants to give the best to every living entity. So that is the point. And therefore things work out for us. And therefore things work out for every living entity. Just imagine, like say, for example, we were in the yatra, in Kartik Yatra in Mayapur. Many of the devotees were there. And just imagine there are 10,000 devotees in Prasadam. And if you remember the proper disappearance day, everybody wanting to take prasad at the same time because of fasting. So just imagine 10,000 devotees to take prasad at the same time. Now, just imagine if the serving team and organization, ah, suppose suppose the serving team and organization is Sarkari, how will things work out? Most likely, no, it is Sarkari, it is government organized serving, suppose. How will things work out? It will be very messy. People who are serving don't want to serve. People who are cooking don't want to cook. Somehow something is prepared. Somehow something is being given like that. And people who want prasad, they are fully wanting it. So very messy. So in between there will be moments when the serving team will finally, get to the point of actually starting to serve. Then only after some moments they will get some phone call, they will get some here and there. They'll start chit chatting. Sarkari, no? Again the line stops. So the line, when it stops, there is no guarantee when it will start again. And when it starts, there is no guarantee how soon it will stop again. Just imagine the scene. Just to get prasad will take hours. And that also how much quantity of prasad? Big question mark. Gusargari. Maybe the best items may be reserved and exported, you know? Yeah, because if you try to understand, the person is that means the example what we are trying to visualize is that suppose the just trying to understand that even the simplest of the things will become so painful just because the people who are organizing are not having a heart to serve. But in our yatra, it was reverse. Why? Because the devotees wanted to serve. The devotees were cooking. Ah, the devotees who are cooking, they wanted to prepare the best. So one of our devotee cooks, cooking, no, the cook devotee, cooking devotee, experts, no, our, no, from Boston. He had been trained by Gauranga Prabhu, who is from Assam. No? So he took a 1 month holiday from his services in Boston to come to Mayapur for cooking for 10,000 devotees. Hmm. Uddhav Prem Prabhu.
And he's doing that since 2011.
Yeah, past 12, 13 years. No, so ever since many, many years, he's from Boston. Every year he comes in the yatra, specially for cooking from Boston, USA. So we might have heard that, okay, devotees come to attend the yatra from all over the world. Devotees don't just come to attend the yatra from all over the world. Devotees come to serve also from all over the world. He's coming from Boston, and that is his cherished meditation. That okay, when will I go and I will be getting the opportunity to serve? And he was one of the cooks who was cooking. So the point is so much hard to serve. And therefore, we will see that even in the yatra, even if prasadam is finished within 20-25 minutes, they again supply re-cooking. 2-3 rounds, one chants, and again they supply. That much is so. You see the point that when there is a heart to serve, when the devotee in the organization wants to serve, uh, then even though there is multitude, there is an experience of sweetness. There is this experience of sweetness. But if we take off this, if there is no love, there is no care, there is no concern for all of us, and then we put the then we try to visualize the scene. The scene is so heart-rending. The scene is going to be so messy. Small, small thing, one will have to experience excruciating pain. That is the point. So if we try to see so many living entities, sometimes if we try, if we put ourselves just like I don't know if you have imagined now, if you have been in that position, that you're in Havra station and thousands of people in the Havra station, you're one among them. It is such a crushing kind of an experience. I remember one time I had to go to Kharagpur and I was on time for the train. I mean, 10 minutes before the train, 15 minutes before the train, I had reached the station and I was just entering to go to the right platform. And from the gate of no, the new no, the new station, from the gate to the platform, it is not even 200 meters. And it took me 1 hour to reach there. I missed the train. There were so many people, I don't know from where they were flocking in. And it was such a jam, it took me 1 hour to reach there, 200 meters. Neither I can go back nor I can go forward. So just imagine thousands of people, the number of souls, all had the same goal of getting material enjoyment, sense gratification. My God, what a messy. Uh, and this is our choice. Krishna never wanted us to come to this material world. He said, no, 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 I want to go where I can grab. Krishna said, oh, you want to grab and you're so passionate about it. Everyone is like that. So your passion vector will be crushed and subdued by the colossal passionate aggregate, which will also pounce on that same sense gratification. Which said, no, 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 I'll handle it. I'm very smart. And unwillingly, Krishna has sent us here. So therefore, you see the point that how dangerous and difficult this positioning of the or no, our positioning in the material world is, and this is our worst choice, which we made with our best mental concoction. That's the point. Now, the only hope and scope for us is Krishna wants to help us. Krishna is from his heart concerned about supplying us, giving us the best. So just try to understand. We just try to understand the whole scene. It's just like the serving team, the cooking team, who are cherishing and relishing. They want to feed. Very nice prasad, give very nice experience. Then that experience becomes so sweet. And even if there is some little bit austerity here and there, some little bit scratch here and there, one may be able to take it up. It gives that fuel to take it up. Similarly, we see Krishna is having that heart, that overwhelming heart to offer the best to every living entity despite their nefarious animalistic propensities, demoniac propensities. And Krishna still wants to help every living entity. And that is why the Supreme Lord's nature is the Supreme Lord gives chance after chance after chance. So here Srila Prabhupada is explaining that the living entity may be traversing through various hellish lives, animalistic lives. But after all that round is done, Krishna again gives the human body. Prabhupada is saying that the very body from where the person chose to dive into a hellish dive, that same body is awarded, so that now from there itself he can make a forward journey instead of gliding down. The same body is awarded. This is Krishna's mercy. This is Krishna's mercy. You see, just try to imagine the mercy of the Supreme Lord. But the living entity chooses a hellish life, and the Lord is still waiting. Okay, as soon as that hellish course is over, let me give him back his elevated position, so that at least now he or she can understand and steer a forward journey, a journey towards transcendence. For the living entity, owing to the demoniac mental concoctions and sinful activities, dives into a demoniac life, dives into a hellish life, and means earns a hellish punishment, earns or deserves a hellish punishment, like an animal body or so on. Now, there also the Lord is so merciful. Just try to visualize and understand the mercy of the Supreme Lord. There also the Lord is so merciful. Even if one wants to enter, one is all deserving to enter a dog body, hog body, and so on. The Lord first sends the living entity to a place where he can get training. Yeah, in the hellish planet there is this training, so that the living entity can at least get used to that kind of nasty body, and at least comfortably, I mean, there is no comfort, it's a very nasty body, but at least whatever, in a little better way can go into that nasty body. This is Krishna's mercy. See, you're directly put into nasty body, then the pain and agony will be overwhelming, will be like Mount Everest. Krishna minimizes this by offering training. People say why Krishna is giving hellish life. Krishna's mercy actually. In hellish life, these kind of trainings are given. So that even though the living entity is hell bent upon getting that nasty body, hell bent upon, clinging on to that nasty desire, which can only be fulfilled in that nasty body. Krishna still gives that training so that in that also the living entity can get the minimum pain. Minimum pain. This is Krishna's mercy. Pumso reta kanashreha. Krishna's mercy, Krishna is giving chance after chance. And here you can see the mercy of the Supreme Lord. He's giving chance after chance. There is the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And this is what is being explained, that the Supreme Lord will keep giving us chance after chance. That's the nature of the Supreme Lord. And uh, that's the heart of the Supreme Lord, and that's the love of the Supreme Lord, which we can interface, which is being highlighted in this which is being highlighted in this particular verse today, and Prabhupada is speaking about, and how the Supreme Lord re-awards the body, the same body from which the living entity glided into a hellish demoniac path. The same body is awarded. Let's stop here for today. Hare Krishna. Do we have any questions?
प्रभु जी बोल रहे
Right? Yes, yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
प्रभु जी एक कंफ्यूजन है प्रभु के, मतलब आज फर्स्ट टाइम सुनने मिला कि जैसे अभी तक हम लोग जान रहे थे कि हम हमारे बॉडी में एक आत्मा है, साथ में एक परमात्मा है। बट आपने जैसे बताया कि जितने भी हमारे बॉडीज में और भी वायरसेस हैं, सेल्स हैं, सब में आत्मा परमात्मा इंडिविजुअली अलग अलग है।
Yes.
तो प्रभु जी क्वेश्चन ये है कि जब एक बॉडी के अंदर इतने सारे इनन्यूमरेबल मतलब सोल एंड सुपर सोल है, तो इनका कोऑर्डिनेशन कैसे होता, और मतलब तो कौन कोऑर्डिनेट करता है? हमारा जो मेन जो हमारे बॉडी में आत्मा परमात्मा वो इनके साथ कोऑर्डिनेट करते हैं कि इंडिविजुअली ये कोऑर्डिनेट कैसे होता है? तो ये थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूज होता है।
Yes, the coordination is done by the Supreme Lord actually. The living entity has no power. The living entity is powerless. The living entity is ignorance. The living entity doesn't also know also what is the position which is awarded. तो शास्त्र से है ना, आपकी ह्यूमन बॉडी इज वेरी रेयर, वो हमको लगता है ना, शास्त्र का तो काम है बोलना, है ना। So it's okay, I can do some little sense gratification. Now later I'll come back to bhakti. That is the, so you see the rarity, the rarity, this is the rarity actually. We can try to visualize how many people are there around. Hmm. How many people are there around? So this coordination is done by the Supreme Lord. So the Supreme Lord is there within every cell. That is why the cell has life. You know? So Prabhupada explains that in a body the soul enters, that is not sufficient for life to manifest. Unless the super soul enters, now the presence of the soul has no meaning, because that is the point. So unless the super soul enters, so because it's just like, okay, if the owner of a car, the owner is there, car is there, but the driver is missing, you know. So owner's presence doesn't matter. The car will never move because the owner doesn't have the key and doesn't know how to drive. So अभी हमारे मटेरियल कार में तो we can learn how to drive, but when it comes to this body, it is impossible for the jiva to learn how to drive. It is Krishna who drives. So it is Krishna who is driving. Man proposes, God disposes. The disposal is God. The living entity only desires. And Krishna, willingly or unwillingly, the Lord is only going to move, make the wheels move. The wheels don't move. So the jiva, the human jiva, uh, presents his or her desires to the Paramatma. The Paramatma coordinates with all the individual cells, and that's how the body moves.
सोल के अंदर ही सब होती है ना।
The soul is sitting beside the super soul is sitting beside the soul, like two birds on a tree. That analogy is given in the Katha Upanishad. Uh, so one is desiring, other is watching, but furnishing, supplying. Upadrishta, Anumanta, Cha, Bharta, Bhokta. So that is how it is. The soul cannot coordinate directly with the entire body and all the multitude of the souls. The soul only coordinates with the Paramatma. And the Paramatma, because the Paramatma is present everywhere, the Paramatma activates everyone, everything else like that. So it is the Supreme Lord who does it. This body is such a complicated vehicle. See, just like we can learn driving a car very commonly, but can we drive an aeroplane? It is much more intense and much more rare, not like that. Can we drive a human body? Impossible. It is very complicated car, like that. That's the Krishna who's doing it. We are completely dependent on the Supreme Lord.
Yes. So it's all good. But
The soul is sitting in the region of the heart. So super soul is also sitting there in the region of the heart.
so here is soul.
In the region of the heart. That's a gross location. Yes.
At this moment, you that we get something, so we can get an impression that it's wrong to enjoy independently from this from. But we are already living for a countless years in this planet. So why we are not still not conscious that we should not enjoy independently?
Okay, so
महाराज के लेक्चर में बताया कि जैसे बॉडी वॉटर में एक बार अनकॉन्शियसली हाथ डाले टिल द डेट हम लोग कॉन्शियस रहते हैं उस चीज के लिए.
yes. So the question is that okay, we have been suffering, and but why don't we learn the lesson from suffering? And why don't we realize? So the point is, this when we do sense gratification, when we do sinful activities, then our intelligence is blinded. Our realizations are washed off. Uh, just like when a person takes intoxication drugs, a person on drugs will not function normally. The intelligence is lost. We can say that, okay, he suffered. And then why again going into that activity? Because he switched off his intelligence. So the living entity, actually, the spirit soul is very intelligent. But the spirit soul, what it does is that, and if that intelligence is there, the spirit soul can never do sense gratification. So the spirit soul very expert. What it does is that it switches off the intelligence and then does sense gratification. That is what happens. So therefore, one keeps on doing that same suffering again and again. So if we have to switch on our intelligence forever, that is the process of Krishna consciousness. When that intelligence switched on, every move will be a welfare move for oneself and for the entire humanity. Uh, so then that intelligence is switched on. That is the natural intelligence of the spirit soul. But the spirit soul, a rebellious spirit soul, switches off that intelligence by indulging sense gratification, which acts as an intoxicant to actually completely destroy one's intelligence and realizations. That is sense gratification or sinful activity. That's why the Shastras warn against it. That don't do that. It's like committing suicide. Atmaha. It's like committing suicide. So
You want food Shama.
we are awakening the spiritual intelligence. Yeah. Yeah. We are actually awakening the spiritual intelligence. The spirit soul has a lot of intelligence, but that is all in a uh, uh, closed state because of sense gratification, the intoxication of sense gratification. Yes, the spirit soul has spiritual intelligence. That intelligence, if we have, we any thought, any move will be for our welfare and the welfare of the entire humanity, and it will be the best service to Krishna. So, but that natural intelligence has to be awakened. And that is why sense control, mind control, and engagement, positive engagement in Krishna consciousness is recommended. Yes, the spirit soul has powers to think and feel and will. The spirit soul is not dependent on the mind. Yeah. Yes. It has its own mechanism. We may not call it mind, but it has its own mechanism. Okay, so let's stop here for today. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.